All right, so last time we left off at creating an assembly for the table, as you can see right here. So now what we're gonna do is we're going to create an exploded view. And if we go to assembly and select exploded view right here, then this allows us to first set up where everything is going to go. So exploded view has two main steps or processes. The first step is to select the exploded view from right here, as I just showed you. And then the second step is to animate it, which I'll show you afterwards. So in the exploded view, after I've clicked the exploded view button right here, I'm going to select one of my legs and I can drag it down. And I can do the same for the other legs. And the order in which I do it will show up right here. And the order does matter because that's the order in which it's going to explode. So I'm going to take this leg and bring it down, and take this leg, and I can also move it on the z-axis as well. So if I just click on that leg, I can choose which axis I want to move it in. I want the table to go up, so I'm going to drag it up. Make sure that I'm just selecting the table. And also I want it to rotate as well. So all of those steps that I just performed, they're listed chronologically right here. So once I'm done, I'm going to select the check mark, and then I have my first process or step completed. My exploded view setup is now done, and wherever I have the camera positioned or the view positioned is where my animation is going to start. So if I move this to be centered right here and I click on motion study, then my motion study is going to start from that view I left off at. So if I go right here into animation wizard and I click on it, I can see that there's three options, and this time I want to explode it. So this is what an exploded view will look like. Everything will move to where we moved them in the first place. So you'll see that everything will move to this position. So I'm going to click next, and my start time is obviously going to start at the 0-second mark because I need to start at the beginning of my animation, not at the 2-second mark, but at the 0-second mark. The duration, I'm just going to make it to be 2 seconds long because I want it to explode in 2 seconds so that it doesn't bore the viewers. And then I'm just going to select finish. Now once I'm done setting up the animation wizard, I'm going to click calculate right here. And you'll see that everything moved in the order of which I set up my exploded view. So this is the order in which I set up my exploded view. Okay, now let's say I want to bring everything back together. I'm going to click on the animation wizard, and then I'm going to click on collapse. Collapse will bring everything back together, as you can see right here. And then when I select next, and I want the duration to be 2 seconds, I want the start time to be 2 seconds as well, because I want it to start directly after the exploded view. And then when I select finish and calculate this, this will bring everything back together in the reverse order of which I exploded everything in. Another cool thing that Animation Wizard can do is the rotate model feature. So if you click on rotate model and select next, and let's say I want to rotate the model from the beginning of my animation to the end of my animation. I can pick the axes in which I want to rotate it about. So x-axis, you can see that it's rotating about the x-axis, the y-axis, and the z-axis. And then I'm going to leave it in the y-axis, clockwise or counterclockwise. You can pick that. The number of rotations as well. We're just going to leave it as 1. And the start time should be at the beginning because we're starting from the beginning right here. And the duration is going to be 4 seconds so that it matches the length. 2 seconds for the explode, 2 seconds for the collapse, so the total is 4 seconds. So now if I calculate this, you'll see that it will rotate the entire model. So these are all keyframes for each of my components. So the tabletop has its own set of keyframes, as you can see. The leg, the second leg right here has its own set of keyframes as well, and the camera has its own set of keyframes. So I can actually edit these keyframes by dragging them and shortening them. So let's say I wanted the rotate view to be faster and to end at the 3 second mark. I can just drag these until the last keyframe is at the 3 second mark. Then if I calculate it, from the 3 second to 4 second mark, it's not rotating, but every time before that, it's rotating. Now, when we need to save the video, you'll see a save animation button right here. If you click on this button, it gives us the ability to save it. I'm just gonna release the fixed aspect ratio, and let's say I wanted to render the video really quickly and I just need a quick preview. So I'm just gonna give it a small image size. So maybe 600 by 300 will be a really small image size. And the frames per second, I'm just gonna leave it as 5 frames per second. If I save this and I select OK to the default video compression settings and I recalculate it, then it's going to create the video really fast. But if I want to create a high quality video, then I'm going to save the animation again. I'm going to release the fixed aspect ratio, and I'm going to give it a 1280 by 720. So just like 720p, I'm just going to name this a different file name. And the frames per second, I'm going to leave it as 25. This video output setting will give us a much higher video output, and it will give us a much smoother video because the frames per second is much higher. So this will give us a much better video quality. So if you're ever submitting a video to someone, this is the image setting that you want to use, or you can use a better quality setting. But the higher quality that you go, the longer it is going to take to calculate the entire animation. So we're just going to let this animate. So it's taking a lot longer, and it's just about to complete. So now that it's completed, if I go to where I saved it, so now that I have the video open, if I play it, you'll see that this is a much higher quality video, and it's also a lot smoother than the low quality video that I created right here. So this is a lot smaller and a lot choppier. So everything is not smooth, but this lets us view the video a lot faster.